welcome to this video in which I'm going to talk with you about how to outline a book using Microsoft Word 2016. Now I'm going to begin with my screen layout and how to optimize things, and then we're slowly going to work into configuring Word to outline, and then I'm going to show you actually how to outline. So this is going to take a little while. Let's begin by looking at my Word screen right now. I've got it up and it's a jumbo Word, so I've configured my screen so everything is very large so you'll be able to see the menu items and so on. Now look at how small the area is that we have here to write. If I type something, you can probably just barely see the fact that there's a word here. This is not the way that you want to work, so we're going to talk about optimizing your screen real estate first. The first thing that I need to do is I need to run Word in full screen mode rather than as a smaller window. And to do that, I click on this square box in the upper right-hand corner. Now, I'm showing you how to do this, by the way, on Microsoft Windows 10. On Macs, you're going to have to translate, because I'm not a Mac user and I don't know how to translate for you. So let's go ahead and make this full screen. Now we have much more real estate to work with, but our typing area is still very small. And the reason for this is, if you go, notice you've got the menu up here, so we've got home and insert and all these things. If I go to view, I have options here for zooming the view. I'm looking at one page right now. So this is the one page mode view. What I like is to do the page width view. And once you hit that, then suddenly your page goes to the entire width and you can see much more what's going on. Now you can possibly see the word something. Now the next thing that I like to do is and I'm not going to do this in this session as a matter of fact, because I need more real estate for you to be able to see what I'm typing, because I'm going to make everything extra large. But I also like to go to view and then, well, okay, we'll turn this on and off because it is actually critical. Is I go here to view and I say display the navigation pane. Now the navigation pane right now doesn't display much of anything because you don't have any head levels in the document. We're going to use head levels to outline our book. So right now it's just a big empty wasted space. Let's go ahead here and we'll get rid of the navigation pane. But this is basically the format that I like to use to write in Word. Now let's actually do just a little bit more. If I want to change the font, which I do, I don't like this Calibri font that is the default. I'm going to go to Home, and here you can see that this is the normal font. So this is the styles, and the style right now for everything that I write is going to be normal. If I make them head level 1s and 2s, then they're going to be that style. So I'm going to change the style of normal. Let's go here and right click on it and then come down to the modify option on the menu. And up comes our options. Now right away I'm going to change this Calibri font to Times New Roman. And instead of the size of 11, I'm looking around my camera right now, I'm going to make it 12. Okay, and then what I like to do is come down here to Format, and you have two options. We're going to be writing paragraphs. So you can either separate paragraphs without a space and have 5 spaces of indentation, or you can use a blank line. We're going to use the blank line option by going to Paragraph here on Format, and we would like for there to be 6 points after a paragraph, and click this up to get 6 points before a paragraph. Now with all of that done, we can click OK and OK. There we go. And now we're writing in Times New Roman 12 pitch. Now I'm going to cheat a little so that you can see things. You still can't see the word something very well. So I'm going to right click here and I'm going to change, just for my demonstration purposes, the size of the font from 12 point all the way up to 20 point. And then I'm going to say OK. So I'm just making this change for the purposes of this demonstration. And now you can see the word something there. Now, my head is going to be in the lower right, so having the navigation pane here and my head in the lower right just gives me a very narrow column to write in. So let's go here to View, and we'll turn off the navigation pane for now. There we go. Now something is in the upper left, and you can see everything that I'm going to end up writing. Now the next thing we're going to need for outlining is head levels 1 and 2, and we get those the same way. We go to Home, and I go to head level 1 and I right click, and I'm going to modify that. I would like this to once again be Times New Roman, and for my display purposes I'm going to jack this up to 24 pitch, and I'm going to make it not blue but the automatic color, which is black. Now I go to Format and I go to Paragraph, and I'm going to format this just a little bit differently. Instead of putting a lot of spaces before, I'm going to get rid of the spaces before and have no spaces, and then I'm going to have spaces of 12 afterwards, 12 points. So it's going to give me a blank line. But I'm going to go to line and page breaks, and I'm going to say, give me a page break before this head 1. So all of my head 1s are going to begin on new pages, and I'm going to have 3 head 1s for plot, people, and places, and that's going to be my outline as far as head 1s. So here, once again, I can come down and I can say, OK, and OK again. And there we go. We've got our head level 1 formatted. Now I also need a head level 2. We're going to use those for the things that are inside plot, places, and people. So I'm going to modify the head 2, and then I'm going to make it Times New Roman again. There we go. And I'm going to make it, let's make it 24 again. Get it to automatic color. And now on formatting the paragraph, what I'm going to do with the head level 1 is I'm not going to put a page break on it, or the head level 2, I'm sorry. I'm going to put the 12 spaces before, or the 12 points, the blank line, and a blank line after it. So let's go ahead and go back. Actually, let's go back. I forgot one more thing that I wanted to add to each of these head levels. So let's go back. I want to make them bold. So let's pick, there it is, bold. Now I'm making my head levels bold. And I go here and I say, OK. And now I want to go back to the head level 1, and I want to modify that, and I want to make that bold too. So let's click up here on bold and over here on OK. Sorry about having to lean left and right to see around all my equipment I'm using to record. But now we have the basic setup. There's one more thing that I want to do to save real estate. Notice I have this big menu ribbon here. This is known as the ribbon that comes under the menu. And it's nice and handy when you're doing a lot of menuing work to have the ribbon displayed. But I can click this little arrow up here and my ribbon goes away and I get more screen real estate. This is the way that I like to write in this format. Actually, now when I click on a menu item, the ribbon comes down, and when I'm done, it goes away. So let's put View Navigation Pane back in here. This is my writing setup. I've got my correct fonts for normal. I've got them for head level 1 and head level 2. I've got my navigation pane. I'm going full screen. I'm doing a wide page, and I've got the menu bar out of the way. So we've managed to set up quite a bit here for our writing environment. And this is going to be our outlining environment. And let me show you how this is going to work. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put in 3 head levels. When it comes to outlining fiction, this isn't true of nonfiction. With nonfiction, it's completely different. You're just primarily worried about plot and so on of your fiction or your nonfiction book. With fiction, you need to worry about plot, people, and places. So those are the 3 things we're going to highlight, and that's what or outline, and that's the outline at a very high level. Now what I can do is I can select each of these things, go to Home, and make them head level 1s. Now notice things break onto multiple pages here. We're looking at a plot on its own page, on page 1. Let's get rid of the menu so we can see this. By the way, by default, you get 1-inch margins all the way around, and that's just fine. I like writing that way. So we're going to put things having to do with the plot here, and we're going to put things having to do with the people in the story on the people page, and we're going to have things having to do with the places that we write about on the places page. And notice now you can see the reason for the navigation pane. I get a list of all my head level ones, and if I want to jump to any of those, I just click on them in the navigation pane. Now, let's begin with plot. Plot is probably the most obvious thing that you can write about. And what you do when you're outlining is you just start throwing together plot ideas. Like, and make them short and sloppy. This doesn't need to be formatted well. Although we've done a lot with formatting, that's for your readability, not to let anybody else read this. So let's say man goes to airport. And that's the first plot element. I don't even need to use periods or anything in here. And notice how we're getting that nice blank line in between paragraphs because of the way that we formatted the normal style. Next, let's say he's carrying drugs in his suitcase. Unfortunately, so again, I can't read that. A drug-sniffing dog is at the airport. Okay, so we just keep listing plot elements here. Let's keep going. He's hauled away to the police station. The police find out that he's a wanted criminal. The man escapes and is on the run in an unknown city. So you just keep putting the plot elements here until you get the entire plot of your story. Now, what did we have the head level 2s for? This is what you use them for. Let's say I come in here and I go, okay, the man goes to the airport, he's carrying drugs, he gets hauled away to the police station. These 4 items are going to be in after you get your outline done. Okay, first throw together all your ideas and get your plot together. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start breaking these up into chapters. So I come here and I say, okay, well, this I'd like to have, well, actually, let's put the chapter heading in here first. Chapter 1. Chapter 1. And we take this and we come to home and we make this a head level 2. Now for more head levels I can hit this and it comes down. There, now we have chapter 1 outlined. He's hauled away to prison. The next chapter, I would say, okay, he's at the police station and he escapes and he's fleeing in an unknown city. This is chapter 2. And you just keep going this way, adding plot elements and then adding the chapter outlines. Now, I usually like to carve it up into chapters at the end, but you can do it as you're outlining too. It's your choice. And notice now what we have in the navigation pane. I can jump to the plot, or I can jump to any of the chapters. I can jump to people. Let's look at people because we actually have a person. So let's put in our person. His name is Emil Vargas. There we go. I'm sorry if your name is Emil Vargas. I'm not accusing you of being a drug smuggler. But now we start writing things about Emil Vargas. So let's see, he's got a scar on his left cheek. He's got, he talks, speaks with a heavy Latin American accent. Okay, he walks with a limp, smokes cigars to relax, and he drinks scotch. Okay, so we're putting all these things about Emil Vargas. Now we come up to Emil Vargas, and since he's a character, we come to home and we say, make him a head level 2. So each of our characters will be a separate head level 2 here. You notice how this is fleshing out? Now, this is the thing about outlines. This is the way that I outline. But what you need to do is create an outline that's useful for you. Do whatever works for you. And when are you done outlining? You're done outlining when you can't stand it anymore and you just got to write. And in fact, I can start writing in here right away. Let's go to chapter 1, and I can start experimenting with writing in my outline. Something like shadowy figure enters figure enters the automatic doors of the airport terminal. So you can experiment with writing sentences for your story in here. You typically will just stick with short little descriptive things in your outline and then write in your actual document. Now, so we've got Emil Vargas as our people here, and we're getting all kinds of details about him. Keep on going. Raised poor and craves money. So what is his motivating factors in doing things? How does he speak? How does he walk? What are his mannerisms? And I can work all these things into my writing now. I can say things like, Emil said with his heavy Latin American accent. I can do things like that, and it adds depth and fleshes out your characters. Now you end up doing the same thing with places. I come down here and maybe, okay, the first place is, let's call it LAX Airport. So it's at the airport, and LAX is very crowded. And it's busy, noisy, clean. Let's make it. I always find that airports are kind of almost sanitary, like hospitals or something. Lots of people rushing around, right? You can smell jet fumes, right? I always find that at airports. So you describe the place, and once again, here, LAX, we come up to it, we say, click on it, and we go to home, and we make that a head level 2. So we have LAX as a place. So you keep fleshing out your places and focus on plot and go back and forth, and you go, oh, okay, now I've got a new person, so let's add a new person. Let's go here and say, okay, escapes to run in the city, and he meets a vagrant, right? So now we have the vagrant. So we come down here, and we go to, well, let's call him just simply John, the vagrant. Okay, I'm spelling vagrant wrong. So here I can go, and I can left click on this, and I can get, there we go, okay, with an A. And John is filthy and smells bad. Let me see, he's elderly, homeless, right? So we describe all these things about John the Vagrant. And here I come once again to John the Vagrant. I come up to home, and I click on a head level 2. So now we have 2 characters, and we have 2 chapters, and we have a place. And you keep on doing this until you've outlined your entire book. Now, when it comes to doing short stories, you usually don't need to go into this much detail. I might not have chapters in a short story. I might just have 1 or 2 characters. With a book, you're going to end up with multiple characters. You're going to end up writing subplots. So you want more than just the main plot that the entire book is about. You want subplots too to add length if you're writing a book. And you're going to have many locations. So it's a matter of scale between outlining a book and outlining a short story. Anyway, that's the way that I outline. I hope that it helps you. I hope that you now have a better idea of possibly how to write your own outlines. And I'll see you in the next video.